Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our online demo, Protecting Files Beyond Dropbox and Email. I am Valise Perez, and I'm here with our Head of Product Marketing, Grant Shirk. Good
Hi,
morning,
everyone.
Grant.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here. So today's conversation is really going to focus around Dropbox. Specifically, making sure that your team has the tools to easily protect and manage access to files both in Dropbox and beyond. We have a really cool demo in store for you, but really the most important part of these 30 minutes is you. And I'm seeing a ton of security leaders logged into the webinar from across all industries. I'm seeing some of you are in healthcare, financial services, manufacturing, and even some retail. So thank you for being here. So if there's anything specific that you're looking to do at your organization, definitely let us know. There's a chat box. Submit a question to us, and we'd love to show it to you, and we'll show it to you live here with you. So to set the context, we'd really love to understand where you are in your deployment of Dropbox. I'm going to give you guys a minute to answer and to think through it, but we're looking to understand: are you a Dropbox customer? Are you evaluating Dropbox for the first time? Are you looking to migrate to the cloud? Are you in the middle of a POC or trial? Where are you in the Dropbox decision?
Yeah, this will be really good to help us out. I think we've got about a quarter of you guys have responded, but this will help us make sure we're showing you the right components of this demo and really give us the context for where we're at. We're talking to a lot of customers across the spectrum. There we go. It started to come through now. So good. So I think if we can skip ahead, I think this will update as we go. But let's take a look at this. Great. Okay. Then let's go back to the results here. Take a look at this. Share them with everyone. It looks like what I'm seeing is the vast majority of you are already Dropbox customers, and I'm going to guess that means you're probably on Dropbox Business or Dropbox Enterprise. That's great. That's pretty consistent with what we see with our customers today, is people have made the choice to move to the cloud, and now they're looking at ways to augment and enhance the security protections and controls they've already put into place. Great. Okay. And then, cool. So you want to take us forward, Elise?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's it. That makes sense. I think Dropbox, when you look at the statistics, they're really impressive. So as of last month, Dropbox has 500 million users, 500 million users on Dropbox. 8 million businesses have Dropbox, whether or not they're paying customers. But the most fascinating statistic is really that 44% of users, of Dropbox users, come from an existing user. And so it's a super sticky product. And people don't pick Dropbox just for storage. They pick it to collaborate. They pick it to share data. And so the question that we get here at Vera all the time is, okay, we're on Dropbox. We're a Dropbox customer, and we're really happy with Dropbox. My team loves it. But we, the security team, how do we secure, protect, and track files both in Dropbox and beyond? How do I extend that security when my files leave the Dropbox container? And data is leaving, right? It's being moved to customer and partners' hands and being taken offline. It's being downloaded to devices that you don't manage. It's being accessed constantly by third-party contractors and third parties. And it's also being forwarded. It may be forwarded to competitors. So how do you see that, and how do you manage access to that? And so that's really what's bringing us here today. The other question we get is, what happens when my employees share data beyond Dropbox? What if they don't share it via link from Dropbox to Dropbox? What if they move really confidential information from Dropbox and stick it into an email and send it off? How do I see that? How do I manage access to that? Especially when we have so many collaboration platforms in the enterprise. And so that's what we're going to focus our time here today, and that's what Grant will help answer in his demo.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to move right into the demo. To do that, I haven't seen any questions come in, but I would love it if each of you could share through this poll some of your biggest concerns about moving more sensitive data to and through Dropbox. I think a lot of us are collaborating on the assumption that the people we're inviting in, we trust. It's a trust-based model. But it's the hop past that trust that I see a lot of people asking us about. As I look at this, though, these are coming in, thank you, we'll be able to customize the story we're going to tell here in just a minute. All right, this is great. And as I look ahead to this, give you guys a couple more seconds. Fantastic. We'll skip over. It looks like, again, this is good. We have a nice consistent presentation. But it seems like a lot of it is preventing unauthorized access to information and then potentially visibility of what's going in and out of your Dropbox folder. So we can help with that as well. So let me take a note of that and we'll add that to the demo, so visibility. Awesome, great. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. So let's move ahead into the demo. Where we fit into the Dropbox ecosystem and beyond the Dropbox ecosystem is providing data-centric security. I think I see some familiar names on here. I think a few of you have talked to us in the past, but really what we're doing is enforcing encryption, access control, and even rights management to files in Dropbox and beyond. That rights management gives you the ability to do things like block, copy, and paste out of a secure document, stop printing, allow editing pretty much anywhere, and even do things like watermark or revoke access to that file, and then see where in the world those files have traveled. Really provides a lot of that visibility into the file. So I'm going to walk you through each of these components now as we move over into our demo. So yeah, we're going to share the desktop. Fantastic. So hopefully we'll have about 10 minutes on this, and then it'll give us time to answer questions, and I believe you can kind of track those as they come in.
Absolutely.
If you guys have scenarios, use cases, industry-specific stuff, we will definitely handle it. So here's our story today. I am working with as a contractor with a very high-quality, high-profile design firm, and we are using Dropbox to share files. It's the easiest way to move large files, complex files back and forth. We don't have to deal with email. We get all the benefits of version control and everything else. But a lot of this information is highly sensitive. The company I'm working with, let's say it's somebody called Apple, really wants to make sure that their supply chain, their manufacturers, and the design providers they're working with aren't sharing information beyond our trusted link. So they've used Vera to protect these files. Everything in this folder that you see here, this is a Dropbox business folder that's been protected with Vera, secure Vera files. Every file that's been added into it is encrypted by Vera. It is secured and protected. Access control is limited to the people in the folder automatically. And we're going to persist those protections anywhere that file travels. But the good news is, for me, as the recipient, I get a design specification. I get a .docx. It shows up as a secure file. But when I go to open this, invisibly in the background, Vera is going to check my access to the file. It's going to say, does Grant have access to the document or not? And then if so, what are my permissions? And you can see here that it's opened up natively in Word. I got my Dropbox bubble pop up, so I know I'm working with a Dropbox file, which is great. But there's one small difference. I have this Vera policy bar at the bottom, and that's going to tell me two things. First, it lets me know I'm working in a secure environment. And then second, it tells me exactly what rights I have with this document. Now, I believe you shared this document in the first place with me. And when you put it in, you had it set up so I get view-only rights to the document. So not only can I not edit the file, I can't save a copy of this document, but my ability to copy and paste and print this file is locked down. So if I head up to the file menu, you'll see no save as, no print. And even if I were to try to take this detailed manufacturing specification, I'm going to try to do a keyboard copy here, copy, and move this out into, say, another document, and try to paste that information. My ability to do that is blocked. It never even made it to the clipboard. You can see that the last thing I had on the clipboard popped up there. This is really, really valuable to the company that I'm working with because they don't want me to be able to remove this information from their scope. And this is a really, really great way to give people full access, rich access to information through Dropbox. But make sure you have total control over what's happened with that file. All right. We'll close that down here, clean up the desktop. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do what Apple's hoping I'm not going to do. I'm going to copy this file. I'm going to put a copy out on my desktop. And you can see here there's that little Vera bar along the bottom, and that's telling me that the protections have traveled with this copy of the file. So no matter where I take it or what I do, it's still protected. Now, I know early on when we were looking at this, one of the things that was important was visibility into this file. So with Vera, wherever that file has traveled, we get the ability to see exactly who should have access to it, who has accessed it, and what they've done with it. And then use that information to decide if we should lock that file down or make a change. What I have up here is the Vera dashboard. This gives me a high-level view across my entire organization of what secure and confidential files are being used, what's being accessed, and even where those files are traveling. One of my favorite things about the dashboard is the domain dashboard that I have right here. I think of this as my collaboration health check. I can see at a very quick glance that about 80% of my files have stayed internal to Vera. That's awesome. That's what I want. And I'm working with a partner here, VBio, and see a good number of files headed to them. That's also good, but I might be a little concerned about the files making out to personal email domains like Gmail or Hotmail, and be able to dig in and say, where did those come from? How did they get there? And what have those people done with those files? But what we wanted to do here was look at the history of that design specification that we were just talking about. By digging into the file, which I have right here, I can see, as I suspected, that Valise had shared this initially. She shared it up via a share action. She uploaded it into Dropbox. I can see that right here in the log. And you can see that while she shared the file with me, she didn't have to think very hard about who she should give access to. It was automatically determined from the folder in Dropbox. You can see there are about maybe a dozen or more people who have access to that folder. They're team members. And their permissions have been dictated precisely by their level of permission in that folder. So some had some view-only permissions, and some had even more restrictive ones.
Right. So when I actually uploaded this document, the only thing I did was just drag and drop it from my desktop into my Dropbox folder. So as a business user, I didn't. It was just the normal Dropbox flow.
Perfect. So you don't have to think about it. Yep. Cool. And then we can see where in the world this file has traveled. I can see that right here. I just opened this file just a few minutes ago here in California. And then I can see all of the activity that I just had with it, that I opened it up, I checked permissions on my device, and then I can even see as those permissions were assigned in the past. I can get the full history. Because we have this level of visibility, we also have a lot of control over the document. So at this point, let's say, Grant is not working with Apple any longer. He's moved on to another project, or he's moved on to another contractor. And so whether I was Valise, the file owner, or the administrator who's managing this project, I can very quickly revoke access to the file. Single click of the button, I can see the history of what I've done here. But when I close this down, whether I am trying to access this document natively in Dropbox, when I go to open this up, my access has been denied. Now, if I try to open up the file that I've removed from Dropbox, so I've taken it away from something that Valise and Apple owned, put it on my own desktop on an unmanaged device, even this copy is protected and locked down. Nothing is going to happen. And even if I go in and I try to change the name of this document, I'm going to call it top secret, because nobody looks for those documents called top secrets. If I now try to go and open that file, sorry, no matter what I do, wherever I try to go, whichever device I take it to, I can't open it. All right. So, Valise, one of the other things that we see from time to time is people trying to send information, right? Say, oh, I don't have access to that folder. Can you send me a link? Do you see that from time to time with the customers that you work with?
All the time. I think most customers, they know that people aren't going to work solely from Dropbox to Dropbox.
Yep.
They're going to download the file. They're going to place it into an email. And the second you do that, for IT, for the security team, it's gone.
Okay.
And so that's really a concern I hear again and again. It's how do I get that visibility, and how do I control it and make sure that I can bring it back and prevent that unauthorized access if my employees remove it from our secure repository?
Should we try it?
Absolutely.
All right, let's
do
do it.
it.
So I'm going to grab this top secret document that I just created on my desktop, and I'm going to drag it into an email. Okay, that's fine. We've got a big file here. That's fine by me. Okay. Apple does not mess around with their design specifications. That's fantastic. And we will go ahead and we will send this over. I'll make this as easy as possible for my guy, Andre. Great. We'll send that off. And so what we're going to do is we wait for that to travel. We're going to go take a peek at Andre's machine. Andre, again, is outside of the organization. He is not someone who should have access to this information. We're going to turn on his computer here and have a look and see what he sees. Now, the ideal scenario here for Valise and Apple is that when Andre receives this file, he is not going to be able to access it. We don't want him to see this top secret information. So we're going to launch this up. He's got the link to the drive. And we're going to go and we're going to download this application. So when he goes to open this file, what's going to happen is this file is going to open in a browser. And this is a big advantage that Vera provides our customers, is that they don't need a client, a plugin, or any special application to manage these complex documents, whether I have access or not. So Andre's going to get a very nice screen that says, hey, this file has been secured by Vera or by Apple or by whomever it happens to be. He can, of course, download the application if he wants, but what most people do is they'll just go view it in a browser. What we're going to do is check and confirm his identity, and then based on his rights to the document, we're going to basically let him know that, sorry, you don't have access to this file. Now, he could request it if he wanted to, but at this point, we've kind of closed the loop. Even though he has the document, he's been sent a link, he can't do anything with it.
Yeah, actually, one of the questions we got is, how do you manage access to people outside the company? So let's say Andre was actually someone that you did want having access to this file. How do you manage that?
Absolutely. So there's a couple ways you can do that. If I am the owner of the file, I can, when I send it over, if he's a member of the Dropbox folder, he's going to get access to it automatically. He's already kind of a trusted collaborator in that scenario. Or if I'm the owner of a file and I'm sending an email, Vera can automatically add him to the recipient list if necessary. And as you see here, there's a third method which would allow Andre to immediately request access. The cool thing about this is that that request goes back to the person who secured the file in the first place. So even though I sent this to Andre, if he goes and clicks this button, fantastic, he's going to wait for the recipient to respond here. But that's not going to go back to me to grant. I sent him the file, but I don't own it. Valise is going to get the notification that somebody that she has never heard of before is requesting access to this file, and she can trace back and see exactly what's happened in that scenario. All right, so that's our quick 10-minute demo. We've gone through the script of working with secure files, something that's been uploaded into a Dropbox folder. We have accessed it simply in its native application. We've managed and viewed the rights to that file as we have moved it around. And we've enforced those permissions very explicitly as they've been revoked from someone who had them in the first place and from someone who never had them originally. Actually, you can see here that pending request from Andre just came in. So we're tracking that level of access across the organization for you. At this point, please turn it back to you quickly. I mean, we can sum up. I'll leave my screen up here, but are there questions or aspects of the product that we can show for some of the folks online?
Yeah, definitely. So another of the questions that came in was whether Vera only works with Dropbox, or whether Vera can also secure documents and other cloud collaboration services that might be part of your ecosystem, like Box or a share file, or other platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. The way Vera operates is we're agnostic to both the kind of file that you're sharing. So we're working with Word documents here, but it could be a PDF, it could be a CAD file, it could be a video, it could be really anything. And we are not tied to any particular type of storage or any type of communication. So whether I'm using Gmail or Exchange or Office.com for my email, we can support and secure those files. If I'm using Box and Dropbox and a local file share and posting things to a public web portal, we can protect and control access to all of those files.
Great. Other questions, just kind of sifting through them. How do we manage identity? How do we authenticate third parties that are outside the company?
Yep.
What are our options?
Sure. So I'll cover both sides of that. One is for the people in your organization who are part of your Dropbox business team or your organization. We integrate directly, and I brought up our users tab here, with your current identity provider. So if you're using Active Directory, we're going to integrate with that. If you're using an Okta or a Centrify or a Ping, that's a SAML-based SSO, again, we're going to map those permissions. And that gives you a lot of flexibility. So if, say, I was working on the finance team and I moved over to product development, I probably need to have my access removed from all of those financial plans and P&L that I had access to before. That change is automatically going to be reflected in Vera. So as I move between security groups and security teams, access to any content I may have downloaded, removed from Dropbox in the past is automatically going to update. Incredibly powerful, incredibly useful. On the external side, you have a lot of choices. What we really find important is not making your external partners and customers sign up for yet another application, another user identity, another password. They don't need to know what Vera is. They don't need to care. They just need to get access to the information you shared with them. So we have a couple of options. I know we have some large customers who do bring in trusted customers and partners on their identity network. They have a group for that. So they would be able to authenticate directly against that, just like they normally would. For someone who's truly external, we have a couple of different options, but it's kind of an out-of-band notification. So I could leverage their existing OAuth credentials if I know they're coming in from a Google or another domain. Or I can send a notification. In that scenario where Andre was trying to authenticate, one experience that he would see is, oh, hey, you do have access to this file, but I need you to prove you are who you say you are. Please go back to your email. Click a link I sent you to prove you own that identity. The great thing about an identity-driven system is you can take advantage of what you already know and what they already have of that person. Really streamlines the process.
Awesome. Yeah. Other questions, they just keep rolling in, Grant. Does Vera have access to the encryption keys? Who manages the keys, the user or Vera?
Yes. So one distinction on that, as you've noticed, we're talking about storage before I get to keys. Vera doesn't store or process the file. That's how we are agnostic to the file type. It actually gives you a really good separation between content and security. But I think that's kind of orthogonal to the question. Please, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, no. When you said Vera doesn't store or process content, one of the things I hear all the time from regulated industries is that is that's so much peace of mind that Vera can't actually see what's in your files. It can't see the P&L. It can't see those spreadsheets.
Yep.
So Vera is actually not touching your information, but it is the managing and storing the keys and the usage rights and the policies.
That's right. Yeah. So you can think of Vera as managing the access controls and the permissions. We do have options for regulated industries for where they want their keys managed, but Vera never has access to your information unless you explicitly grant it to your customer success manager. I think we probably have time for two more if we've got them.
Yeah, we do. So what happens when the file receiver has no connectivity? So what happens, this is a question around offline access.
Okay, great. So that's a good segue into another part of the product, which is the policy. We've talked a high level about some of the permissions and the controls that we enable. What I've opened up here on the screen is a policy definition or configuration in Vera. And this is what allows you to control exactly what someone can or cannot do with a file. Within this, you can drive notification. You can control whether or not someone can edit or save a copy of the file. And you can also control some of those other things we showed, like printing. I can restrict someone's ability to take a screen capture or share something on a webinar, for example, or WebEx. To that specific question, it's really up to you around offline access. And we've made it so it is very seamless and transparent for both you and the end user as well. So if you're in financial services, you may have some incredibly sensitive information, material, non-public information in NPI. You want to make sure that that file is probably online. You don't want somebody to air gap that machine, so you can prevent someone from taking a file offline. However, if you're like me, fly around a lot of airplanes, work with a lot of really bad hotel Wi-Fi, so connectivity is often a challenge. And so in that situation, for a lot of information, you need access to it seamlessly. If you enable offline access with Vera, you can set a window and say, for this period of time, I'm going to allow you to go offline for a week, 2 weeks, a day, whatever it happens to be. And then even if I sync that file down to my machine via Dropbox, close the lid on my laptop and get on an airplane, the moment that file was granted access to me, I'm going to be able to open it on a device offline for a period of time. So we really, give you the choice to control that for different types or classifications of information, but also give your end users the flexibility to get their work done. We really don't want to limit their productivity.
Great. I think we have time for just one more.
Okay.
Can Vera protected files be scanned for viruses?
Scan for viruses. So yes, we are dealing with encrypted files here. So if I'm taking information and encrypting it, that is going to generally obfuscate anything funky hiding in that file. However, we do, depending on what your AV system is, provide the ability to expose Vera protected files to those systems. So you get two benefits. One, it's encrypted file, so it's not going to do anything when it's sitting on your desktop, right? It's truly at rest in that scenario. But if we dive in here and look at these custom applications, we have a full API and SDK that allows whichever AV system that you're using to open, inspect, and provide you the intelligence or the confidence that you have around whether that file is safe to use or not. And because when we do open that file and pass it off to the application, we're doing that in line with a normal file open flow. So if you're doing active AV or on open AV in your system, it's going to catch it at that point as well. So you will be protected with those files. Cool. All right, I think we're about at the end to wrap up. I'm sure we didn't get to everyone's questions. There were a lot of you on the line today. But let me swing us back over to close out in our presentation. What we have shown and walked through today is how you can use Vera and Dropbox together to really extend data control, protection, and rights management beyond your sanctioned and managed cloud services. So whether you're restricting access to files, you're keeping secure information in a secure container, or you need to go and revoke access to information from someone, you have the ability to do that with Vera in Dropbox and beyond. We will follow up with all of you. We'll send you a recording of this presentation. But if you do want to get in touch, if you have other questions that pop up in the interim, you can always get in touch with us at Vera Security on Twitter or Vera.com, or please just send me a note at grant@Vera, and we'd be happy to carry the conversation further. Louise, thanks for getting us rolling today, and everyone, thanks for spending your morning and your early afternoon with us.
Thanks for a great demo. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you all. Goodbye.